Big week ahead. David, thank you for joining us. So is this a good idea or not?
Hi, Sarah. Look, I don't want to comment on Janet Yellen's comments, but what I want to say is for development, taxes matter a lot, incentives matter. The world is shifting a lot on international taxation because of digital, the social media taxation, the corporate taxes on those. That's a big OECD topic. That'll be a topic of the G20 on Wednesday when it meets. So I want to say taxes matter to development, and it's important that the world get it right. That's cross-border taxes, subsidies, revenue mobilization, the royalties on exports. All of that matters a lot.
I guess what I'm wondering from you, with your perspective and talking to most other countries right now atop the World Bank, is how is the world likely to react to this idea? Are countries really going to be willing to give up their competitive edge in attracting corporations by lowering corporate tax rate to a 21 minimum across the globe?
Sarah, this is a little off topic for the core of what the developing world is interested in. They're interested in vaccinations, in the high levels of debt, and in how do they achieve growth in a world that's in some ways moving on from where they're standing. So a lot of the minimum tax debate, I think, is with advanced economies and the race to the bottom that Janet Yellen was talking about in terms of the rates among the various advanced economies. For developing countries, I think it's very important to think about how high a VAT tax rate is actually workable in a poor country, other kinds of topics that are really important to them.
Well, maybe this is a ticket to growth. If the OECD does do this for the advanced economies, then they can attract companies with more competitive tax rates. David, it brings us to the theme of the week, which is this multi-speed recovery. Tomorrow, we're going to get new forecasts from the IMF. The U.S. and China leading the world out of this recovery and this pandemic. What does it mean for the emerging markets, for instance, that you work with? How slow is that recovery going to come?
It helps a lot to have the advanced economies, the U.S. And including China growing fast. That buoys the rest of the world, and that means some of the commodity prices have risen. That's good for the commodity exporters. If as vaccines are spread more widely, that's going to help the tourism business of developing countries. I think the debt issues are important. Also, the ways that that the energy transition can be done within the climate debate, those are important. And coming back to taxation, there's a very important issue of how do you incentivize or how do you wind down some of the incentives that are there for fuels, for various kinds of fuels. One of the big problems facing the developing world is a legacy of paying a lot in order to get electricity, for example, and we have to find ways to do that more efficiently.
David, it's Scott. You've spoken a lot about the high debt levels of developing nations, and you just referenced it yet again, the great burden that presents. Do you think the developed world, the advanced economies, are setting a good example with their own high levels of debt at this point?
Hi, Scott. I'm not sure it's an example situation. We need to have a lot of capital flows from the advanced economies to the developing countries. That's going to be the way for them to catch up. Inequality is a big problem facing the world. So there needs to be faster growth in the developing world than the developed world in order to narrow the inequality gap. And some part of that, a chunk of that, is how do you get capital to flow when right now a lot of the contracts are lopsided in favor of the creditors themselves. And also they have these non-transparency clauses in the contracts that make it very hard for people to know exactly what they're getting in the developing world. The core of this is there has to be a fair deal for the people of the developing country in order to let them advance.
What about on the vaccine front? Should the U.S. be doing more to share the vaccines from some of the companies that have been developing here? We're moving at a very quick pace, which is great for the recovery. obviously, in this country, but so far behind in most of the other parts of the world?
I think the U.S. did a lot in terms of inventing. You know, a core part of the inventions were done in the U.S., also in Germany and also in the U.K. And so that's the starting point for everyone to do better. So we should welcome that. And now by having a fast vaccination effort in countries, it will allow some of the excess to be shared. I hope we get to a system where quickly there can be sharing of the extra supply and an increase in supply. What the World Bank's done is provide financing for countries, directly to the countries, so they have the option of buying from wherever they can get the supply in terms of safe vaccines. And so that's the effort. We hope by mid-year to have 50 countries, 50, with $4 billion of financing already prearranged, ready for them to buy as the supply becomes available.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.